Got a new toaster. I'm going with roasted garlic hummus today, which I probably shouldn't do the roasted garlic on a cinnamon raisin. Maybe I'll go with the homemade hummus that my wife made. Yep, we've got everything we need right here. All of the food groups. I thought we were having chicken wings today. St. Patty's Day 2020 will be remembered for a lot of things. First holiday during the coronavirus outbreak in America, and it was also the day that Tom Brady decided to leave the New England Patriots. In other words, it was the worst St. Patrick's Day in Boston history. And up until this point, it had been a pretty charmed run for local sports there. If you're a teenager in New England, you know nothing about heartbreak. All you know is championship parades. And I'm not sure how in love Boston was with the Patriots before Brady got there. They got to a couple of Super Bowls without him. They got roughed up by the Bears in '85. They got roughed up by the Packers in '96. And then everything changed in 2001 when Drew Bledsoe got hurt. Brady took over, and the rest is NFL history. Now he's under center for Tampa Bay, and it's going to be an odd look, not only in Tampa, but an odd look in New England without Tommy. Hope the next holiday will be a little bit brighter in New England.
Aren't you the graphics guy?
I am.
Chris Sims, I believe, is with us after giving me the silent treatment with that hard-hitting question. How long do you think it takes for Tom Brady to surpass your records with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, not long. I mean, between him and Bruce Arians' offense and then the weapons he's got down there in Tampa, I don't think it'll probably be week 4, somewhere in there, something like that.
Well, you had 12 career touchdown passes with the Buccaneers, so, you know, it might take him 2 months to get there.
Maybe. I think, they're going to throw the football. But, yeah, I mean, I would definitely be worried about week 4. He throws, 3 touchdowns a game early on. They come out on fire. But, yes, my record's definitely going to go down to Brady. That's for sure. All
right, the big concern you have with this marriage with Brady and the Buccaneers is what?
I really only have one concern, and to me, it's a little bit, and this is why I didn't know if it would work or happen in general. Love the offense. Brady can still push the ball down the field. You know this, Dan. The one thing I have a concern with Brady more than anything about his play right now is his ability to stand in the pocket and take punishment. And, let's say there's a 20-yard in cut, right? A 20-yard in cut or a 5-yard underneath route. I thought he was very quick to get to the 5-yard underneath route last year and didn't want to stand in there and make some of the harder throws and take the hit. That would be my only thing when I watch on film that is a concern for me with Tom Brady. And, it's a little extra in this marriage because Bruce Arians he's one of the, hey, no risk it, no biscuit. You got to hold the ball all day here because I want to throw the ball 20, 30, 40, 50 yards downfield. And I think, Brady's going to have to get used to that style of play. But I think it's certainly possible. And, Arians is such a great way about him. I think he'll be able to push Brady in those ways, too, to get better at it.
Do you think it's just a coincidence that he went to a coach who is the polar opposite of the coach he has been with the last 20 years?
I said that right away last night or yesterday when we heard the news. I was like, well, everything he's not getting in New England, he'll get in Tampa. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a coincidence. I think it's refreshing to him. So, no, yeah, I guess I'm saying no, it's not a coincidence. I think it's refreshing to him. I do. I'm sure he's talked to Bruce Arians. It's like, wow, man, this head coach is like talking to me like a normal human being, like we're equals. He's telling me jokes. Those are things Bill just doesn't cross the line there very often with his players. He's the general, and he continues to wear that general hat as long as you're on that team with him. So, no, I would think that was part of it, and just the support system around him with the receivers and the tight ends were probably all a big part. But they're going to roll the red carpet out there, Dan. I know people think like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and, they can't sell out stadiums and all that. That is an awesome fan base. I will stick up for them to the day I die. They love their football. Now, not everybody might have enough money to go around and buy season tickets all the time, but they love the Bucs, and he's going to be treated like king in that town, that's for sure.
Do you think the Patriots wanted him back?
I think they wanted him back only at a really almost disrespectful price, probably, somewhere in there. The thing – I think that they probably could have offered Brady $20, $23 million if he told them early on, like, hey, I want to come back, let's do this. I thought when they franchise tagged Joe Thuney, which I don't think they wanted to do, they were hoping to work out a long-term deal, and then they signed Devin McCourty. One of the first things I thought was, ooh, wow, that might take away some of their wiggle room here to throw some extra change at Brady. And not that I know that, but that kind of seems what happened. It kind of seemed to all go downhill from that point on. And, yeah, I think they would have accepted him back, but I think they're certainly looking to the future and knew that this time had to come sooner or later, and Belichick is one to make these tough decisions and move on.
All right, let's look at the other moves here. How much of an upgrade is Phillip Rivers for the Colts?
Well, he's definitely an upgrade from Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett fell apart at the second half of the season last year. And something I've been saying on my pod and the show a lot is just, I had been informed there was no way Jacoby Brissett was going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts. I've been saying that for about 3 or 4 weeks. So he is an upgrade. He has a little history with Frank Reich. There's going to be familiarity with the offense. So he's going to hit the ground running. And, yes, I think it'll give their whole organization confidence, the offense confidence. And, yes, I do think Phillip Rivers is better than Jacoby Brissett.
Teddy Bridgewater to the Panthers.
Well, that was probably one of the shockers of the day. The thing there, and you probably know this, but, just connect the dots. Bridgewater's been in New Orleans, the Sean Payton offense. Joe Brady, the new offensive coordinator with Carolina, he was in New Orleans. He's probably heard a lot of good things about Teddy Bridgewater, too. So, there's a guy that, hey, we can start off our new era, the Matt Rule era, the rebuilding of that team, with a quarterback who understands the system, knows how to play football. And what I always say about Teddy Bridgewater that's great, and especially a situation like this, he might not win you games, but he's not going to lose you games either.
Yeah.
And, some coaches like that.
Best fit for Cam Newton is where?
Gosh, that's what's really weird about this one. They kind of screwed over Cam Newton in this conversation here to unveil this right now, where a lot of seats have been filled here as far as the quarterback is concerned. I would have said Chargers. That to me would make sense, but I had somebody who I trust about 2 weeks ago tell me there's no way that'll happen. Now, maybe they'll revisit it. Maybe they thought they had a chance at Brady at that time, and that's why they said that. I don't know. But that would make sense to me. Anthony Lynn wants to run the ball, play defense. He's an ex-running back, control the clock. Cam Newton can play that style of football, and he's not necessarily a rhythm passer where you always need to go, we got to get Cam in rhythm. No, you can run the ball 3 plays in a row and then ask Cam to throw a 20-yard in cut, and he'll be fine. That's kind of what he did in Carolina, so he's capable of that. That's the one that makes sense to me, but I don't know if that's a real possibility. Other than that, with the Chicago – the Panthers have no leverage here. So, Cam's not – his contract is up after this year, and we know that they're moving on from him. So they're not going to be able to demand anything, top market as far as a trade here. The Bears don't have a lot of picks, but would they flirt with them? I don't know. I thought maybe they would be more hot on Andy Dalton or Nick Foles for that position.
Chris Sims,
Not
Pro
to
Football.
say they're better than Cam Newton. Sorry.
Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live co-host, joining us on the program. Explain to me Houston's side of the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is they have an inkling that DeAndre Hopkins is going to ask for more money, and they are not comfortable with paying him $20 or $22 million a year. DeAndre Hopkins, the last 2 years, he's probably looking at things going, wait, I'm outperforming Julio Jones, and I'm making $10 million less than him a year? So he's got a real case there to be kind of pissed off about that. And I think Bill O'Brien just looked at that with the fact that, okay, I can't pay him, so we're probably going to have an issue here sometime in the future. They know they got to pay Deshaun Watson. David Johnson really fits what they want to do offensively. they obviously value or not as scared about David Johnson as we all are. Yeah, there's some injury history, but David Johnson, I mean, when healthy, he's pretty damn special. He's like a receiver/running back. He can do everything. He never has to come off the field. So he could be their power back, yet also be, that's the New England system, be a James White, Deion Lewis type out of the backfield too. So I think they saw the value in that. And then, of course, they got a second-round pick. So, I know at face value it looks like people are saying Billy O'Brien got fleeced, but not if you don't think you can pay DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson both at the same time. Then this is a move that had to be made, and I don't look at it that way. Yeah,
I had heard the same thing about Hopkins. In fact, the source I had put PIA, said Hopkins is PIA, and I went PIA, and he said pain in the ass, and that he was going to want more money, and that he is overvalued himself with Houston, and that Bill O'Brien has a short fuse, and that's why he was going to get traded somewhere in the offseason, from what I was told. The question is where. The best team in the AFC East is?
Ooh, wow. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Yep. I'm a huge fan of them. The defense is phenomenal, and even here in free agency, I mean, hey, the big trade at wide receiver to get Stephon Diggs, they really needed that. He really fits what they do on offense. And then, just the other signings they got. Hey, Josh Norman was a good signing. Quentin Jefferson yesterday, Vernon Butler, Mario Addison. They're not superstars, but they're guys where, me, I'm Johnny X's and O and watch football where I go, damn, I mean, you're going to have some deep defensive line that's not going to have a drop-off between the first and second team, and they're going to be able to send waves at you. So, yeah, I'm going to give Buffalo the new crown in the AFC East right now. I'm very reluctant to say that with New England and Belichick, but I will say it for now.
The logic here with the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott, how is this going to end?
I mean, I think ultimately it has to end with them, paying him what he wants. I don't understand the last contract offer, the guaranteed money and some of the things, why they were less than Carson Wentz just by a few $1 million. Like, just throw it on there. Don't let them have that. Who cares? But I think ultimately Dak Prescott, again, am I going to sit here and tell you he's Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson? No, he's not in that class, but he's that next group down. He's somewhere where you could argue he's between 6 and 11, maybe 12 on somebody's quarterback board, right? Plus, added to the fact, he is a phenomenal person, loved by the teammates, loved by the organization in general. He really acts and does all the other little things you want from a quarterback too, which there's value to that off the field too. So I just think ultimately it'll get done and he'll get his money.
Yeah, but here's my point. Who said that every quarterback, the next quarterback up, is going to make more than the previous quarterback? That's not the way it should work.
I've been banging this table the owners have cornered themselves into this conversation. I don't know why they keep doing this either. Yes, you're right. If I was a GM, I would go, wait, no. You're not Aaron Rodgers and you're not Russell Wilson. So they're the benchmark right now. And then when you start doing what they're doing, hey, then maybe we'll talk about paying you more. But I'm with you. I would not be playing this game. Same thing at receiver, same thing at all these positions. Who said that just because you're the next guy up, you get paid more than Khalil Mack or Aaron Donald or whoever it may be? That, to me, is just insane. Nobody in defensive football should make as much money as Aaron Donald. And second is actually be Khalil Mack. And until somebody proves that they're better than them, then, hey, finally, we'll move on and give you more money. But I don't understand some of these guys who are clearly not the player or caliber. I'm with you is what I'm saying all the way. Your point is very valid.
Should we bring back the creamsicle uniforms in Tampa?
Oh, man. Tom would look good in those. I was always so pissed I didn't get to wear those, Dan. When I left town, they broke them out. The year they finally released me and I ended up going to the Tennessee Titans, they wore them that year. I was so heartbroken I didn't get to wear them. But, I mean, why not? Why not find another way to sell another, 2 million Tom Brady number 12 jerseys? I mean, why not?
Chris, thanks for joining us.
You the man. Tell everybody I said hi, Dan.
That's Chris Sims, Pro Football Talk Live.
Winging it. Oh, swinging.
Oh, wow. Glenn Ordway, popular radio host on WEEI in Boston, kind enough to join us. If I told you a week ago that Tom Brady was going to Tampa, you would have said what, Glenn?
I would have said there's a possibility, Dan, but the world is upside down. The bars are closed, the restaurants are closed, and the New England Patriots are now just like another NFL franchise. I mean, it's all foreign to us up here. Totally different. Totally foreign.
You're as connected with Bill Belichick as anybody in that market. Did you get any indication before this was happening?
As you know, in the dealings you've had with Bill doesn't give away an awful lot. The one thing I will say is I thought all along there was the possibility that Bill Belichick was looking at this and saying the problem was not the weapons we had around Tom Brady. The problem was Tom Brady. We didn't get enough of him during the course of the week. The elbow issue presented a situation where Stidham was getting the reps on Thursday and Friday. And I would not be surprised at all, because people keep on talking about Dalton and all these other guys. I would not be surprised at all if Bill Belichick is watching Jarrett Stidham every day and he's looking at it and saying, this kid can play in the NFL. There's probably more to the story than we know.
Do you think that Belichick wanted this situation?
No, I think he wanted Tom Brady back. I think he wanted Tom Brady on a year-to-year situation because Bill is very pragmatic. He looks at the at statistics sometimes and odds, and let's face it, there's only one quarterback in the history of the National Football League that has won a game at age 43 or above, and that's Vinny Testaverde. He won 2. Nobody has started more than 8 games at age 43. I think Bill's looking at all of that information, and he's saying, okay, I love Bill. I love Tom. He's great. He's terrific. He still can play at a pretty high level. But any day now, it could go south. And so I don't want to put myself in cap hell a year or 2 years from now and find out that 6 games into the season, the elbow goes, and Tom is not the same.
I was wondering about the coincidence. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. I asked Chris Sims about this last hour, that Tom goes from a coach who's polar opposite with personality, style, demeanor, everything about that. Is that just a coincidence in your opinion?
I think it's a coincidence right now. I think it's something that, Tom's probably talking about with his buddies today, saying, hey, this might be kind of interesting, kind of a looser atmosphere. On the other hand, there was nobody that was more disciplined and played into that structure of discipline than Tom Brady. He was pissed last year because he didn't think the rookies, the young kids, were serious enough. And so I think that he might be looking at it smiling today, but let's see how it plays out, once you get to camp with all of this. I really think it came down to Tampa Bay in that there weren't a lot of takers out there. I think most NFL teams, Dan, were looking at it the same way Belichick was. He wants 2 or 3 years at $30 million plus each year. We're going to lock him in for 3 years at age 43, 44, 45. I think that's the biggest problem that Patriots had here. Tom Brady wants to play until he's 45, albeit the greatest player in the history of the game, but he wants to play till he's 45. He also wants the love and respect of being that greatest player. And Bill Belichick is operating a franchise with a strict system of value, and every year we need to be competitive. 2 different agendas. I don't think they meet.
Who has more pressure on them going into this next season?
I would say back here in New England, it would be Belichick. I'm not sure that's going to play out nationally. I'm already seeing that Vegas – I don't know how they're putting the odds up. They're closed, aren't they? But they're putting the odds up, and Tampa Bay is like the 3rd highest on the board. People are going to talk about the Bucs having, hosting the Super Bowl and actually playing in it. I think that's an awful lot of pressure. I really do for Tom Brady. I look at it and say that Tampa Bay is now relevant. If I'm the Glazers, I'm looking at it saying we're now going to make an awful lot of money. We're selling season tickets at a huge rate. Many of them, by the way, are buying from New England. I've heard from those people. They're calling me up and they're telling me they're buying down there, and they're just going to take the flights back and forth.
Were your fan base, were your fans upset yesterday? Was anybody angry about this?
Yeah, a lot of anger.
And who are they angry at?
Well, I think a lot of it was directed at Kraft. you know Robert, a wonderful guy. He's been a great owner. He's a great business guy, and I think behind closed doors, he's looking at this as a business. He also wants to be loved and wants the fan base to love him. And he's hearing Stephen A. on ESPN yesterday kind of rip him and rip Belichick, and he calls him during the break, and he says, be very clear, if Tom wanted to stay, then we would have worked it out, and he would have remained a New England Patriot, but Tom wanted to leave. And we got a lot of calls of people saying, what is he doing? You know, and I do think there's something to that, but why are you trying to spin it right now in that direction? So he's taking heat. Belichick will take heat. The difference is Belichick, I don't think, will care about the heat. He knows that he's going to be judged on how the team plays over the next 3, 4, 5 years, and I think he's going to be around for the next 5 years.
If I could give you Brady, Belichick, or Kraft to interview on your show, who would you take today?
Brady.
Okay.
Brady. I mean,
wait, don't you think Belichick would have an interesting take on this?
No, he won't. He won't tell you anything, Dan.
Okay,
so
what if you got total transparency?
No. So you sit here and you ask him the question, what happened? You know what Bill's going to say? Greatest quarterback of all time. He's wonderful. He meant everything to the organization. He's never going to reveal it.
Okay.
And I think even when he gets before the microphones in the next month or so, it would not surprise me if he says, I already made my statement. You read my statement.
I still don't know about Malcolm Butler, so you're right. It's not, I'm not going to get any dirt from him. Somebody's going to give us the back. There'll be a 30 for 30 on this eventually. Since we do a 30 for 30 on everything, there'll be a 30 for 30 on Brady, versus Bill.
And I guarantee you he'll go to his grave never telling you what happened with Malcolm Butler.
But see, I think the Patriots made the smart decision. When Robert Kraft and you want to spin it now because you don't want to be the bad guys here. Hey, if Tom wanted to stay here, well, the reason why Tom didn't want to stay there is you're not going to give him $30 million a year over the next 3 years. You made the decision for him. Brady did what you're supposed to do. I want this. You're not giving it to me. I'm leaving.
Absolutely. And they wanted to change the offense on him because the offense is changing in the league right now. And I think they also want a cheap quarterback because if you look at Kansas City, Baltimore, that's how you do it. That's how Bill Belichick began this dynasty, with a cheap quarterback that was in the 6th round. It allowed him to build the rest of the roster. The roster wasn't good enough last year, certainly the offense, with Tom Brady. And if Tom Brady gets that big money, you can't add a single soul to the offense. Where are you?
Jarrett Stidham, your starting quarterback this season?
I think he might be. I think all of this talk about going out and getting one of these guys, and I think you're going to find probably they'll bring in a veteran. Looks like the supply outdoes the demand right now with all these available quarterbacks, Dan. So I guess he would bring in whoever's one of the last ones standing that's willing to come in real cheap. But I think he's going to try to go cheap, and that's $750,000 at quarterback. And that allows you, as Kansas City has done and Baltimore has done over the last couple of years, if you've got a cheap quarterback, Jared Goff out with the Rams, they were able to do it. Cheap quarterback allows you to build everybody around him.
Glenn, thanks for joining us, and good luck with the masses today.
You got it. Always good talking to you,
Glenn.
Dan.
Thank you, Glenn.
Hi to the boys.
All right. One of our favorites, Glenn Ordway, WEEI Boston radio talk show host.
I don't know what we have here.
Very glazed and shiny.
Wow.
Tom Krasnicki is co-host of Ronnie and T. Kras Morning Show on our great affiliate in Tampa, WDAE. How's morale with my Buccaneers, Tom?
Wait, hold on a second, Dan. I'm coming back down from the clouds. Yes, it's great. By the way, 6'7", 223.
Okay, not messing with you. Not messing with you. All right, if I told you 2 weeks ago Brady was coming to Tampa, what would you have said?
Dan, I thought there was a chance, and you heard what Bruce Arians said at the Combine weeks ago, and the Bucs have been at this for weeks. He said, listen, I'd pick up the phone, I would call Tom Brady, and after how the season ended on a pick six, they finished 7-9, that left a bad taste in his mouth, and when he found out that Brady was going to be available, the Buccaneers were really aggressive in pursuing him.
This Bruce Arians couldn't help Jameis Winston, but he's going to bring in Tom Brady. Like, what happens now with that relationship and this offense? How much is changing in what Bruce wanted Jameis to do and what he's going to ask Tom to do?
Look, I think it might be modified to an extent, but Bruce is still going to take his shots down the field. He's got two wonderful receivers to work with. They still want to run the football. And Dan, look, the offensive line is going to get upgraded, and they're going to put more pieces around Brady. But I think there's going to be a give and take between Brady and Arians. So look, Bruce is not a fool. He's been around the block. He's coached some great quarterbacks. He knows how smart and how innovative Tom Brady is. So I think there'll be a give and take within that relationship.
Yeah, and I look at Brady, and I understand why he'd be attracted to this. The offensive line makes me nervous. I like the skill position. I thought that defense was a top 5 defense at the end of the year, but you're there doing pre and post for the radio show. Am I overstating what I saw? I thought they were going to be a playoff team this year, even if Brady doesn't go there and they bring in Teddy Bridgewater. Am I overstating my Buccaneers?
Not at all, because the defense, as you mentioned, the top 6 games, they were in the top 5 in defensive efficiency. And Shaq Barrett led the league in sacks. He's back. They re-signed Jason Pierre-Paul, who had 8.5 sacks in limited time. He's back. They were number 1 against the run. That secondary was young, but they got much better as time went on. Carlton Davis did a great job the last couple of games against DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones. So that defense will keep them in games as long as the offense, Dan, doesn't turn the football over, which we've seen plenty of mistakes. I think the Bucs can be in the playoffs, and they should be in the playoffs, quite frankly.
Do you think Jameis Winston is the starting quarterback?
Not now. After 111 turnovers in 5 years. And look, I like Jameis personally, Dan. He's got an electric arm. He'll sit back there and he'll make some throws and rip it down the field, and you'll be like, damn, there's only 2 or 3 quarterbacks in all of football that can do that. And then he tries to do too much, Dan, and usually these interceptions happen on the shorter routes, and I'm not sure if it's depth perception or whatever it is, but he has to understand when the journey is over to throw the football away, live to fight another down. That's something that Tom Brady does really well, by the way.
And I think Winston has the talent to eventually be a reclamation project. He could be the next Ryan Tannehill where you go, yeah, let's just discard him. And somebody will eventually, he'll get a chance if he goes to a team and bides his time, and maybe he doesn't try to be Brett Favre. That was always my problem with him, is he tried to make things happen where the smart quarterbacks go, there's a small window, and if you don't see the window before it's open, it's already closed by the time you get there. And I don't think Jameis ever processed the game that way.
I think you're right. And it went back to Florida State because he was always that risk taker, right? Always going down the field, and he won a national championship at Florida State, and he might have thought to himself, listen, I'm not going to change who I am because even though I had 18 interceptions in 1 year at Florida State, I'm still going to take that risk because I got away with it. Look, guess what? In the NFL, these defensive backs, they break on these balls a lot quicker, and unfortunately, he found that out the hard way.
How could this go wrong with Brady in Tampa Bay?
Well, if the Bucs don't upgrade the offensive line, if he gets hit early and often, if you look at the Bruce Arians system, yeah, if you're a quarterback, you're going to get hit. But I think the Bucs are relying on the fact that they will fortify the offensive line. And, Dan, you know, you watch Tom Brady for the last 20 years. He's underrated when it comes to shifting in the pocket, moving. He's got great pocket awareness. He will get rid of that football. 1, 2, 3, boom, the ball's out of his hand.
How long do you think Brady plays in Tampa?
I think 2 years. I think he and Bruce Arians probably go out after 2 years, and everyone knows the Super Bowl's in Tampa this year, and all the Bucs fans are excited. But if I had to put a timetable on it, I think he's here for 2 years.
Do you think Antonio Brown is part of this decision that he's coming to town?
I sure hope not, Dan.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
As talented as he is, if I'm the Bucs, I want him nowhere near my facility.
Has Chris Godwin already given Brady his jersey number?
He probably has. Look, Chris Godwin, he's a great kid, by the way, Dan. He's a great kid. He will literally give him the shirt off his back.
No, he wants the jersey. The jersey off his back, Tom.
Here's the shirt, the jersey. You want my suits? I'll give that to you, too. Here's number 12, and then Brady will probably cut him a check to his favorite charity, and they'll be on with it.
That's good. Hey, it's great to check in with you, Tom, and thanks for the support there with our show on WDAE. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Dan. To you and the Danettes. Appreciate it.
It's Tom Krasnicki. He's co-host of Ronnie and T. Kras Morning Show on WDAE. Tampa Sports Radio, also hosts the Bucs pre- and post shows on the station as well. Good for Tampa Bay. Well, this is good. We're always rooting for a story that makes our job easier or more interesting. And did I want Brady to stay? I thought he was going to stay. But I root for stories. And if that means there's total anarchy or there's chaos, then I'm okay with that. But I don't have a loyalty and allegiance. And, if you're a Patriot fan and all of a sudden 20 years and you're going to go to a game and you're going to go, Jarrett Stidham, that's our future right there. I get it. I mean, that's a culture shock. But Tampa Bay becomes must-see. Now, they were must-see TV for me last year. But it's like car crash TV. If you said, hey, here's car crashes you want to watch, Tampa Bay was a car crash because Jameis Winston. Now, sometimes he was fascinating in a good way. And I do agree that I think that he'll get kicked to the curb a little bit here, and then he'll get a chance, and maybe he'll get a chance to have that. He'll be able to reinvigorate himself, and just like Ryan Tannehill did. Todd, what'd you learn on the program?
I learned you think the Bucs have a better shot at reaching the Super Bowl than the New England Patriots.
What did you learn, Paulie?
Frederick Arthur, Lord Stanley Preston, bought the trophy presented to the hockey champion of Canada in 1892. It became the Stanley Cup, Lord Stanley.
Seton, what did you learn?
Paul Pabst's Wing Wednesday might be one and done.
Dan Patrick Show brought to you by LegalZoom. Their network of independent attorneys can answer questions and provide legal advice. Go to LegalZoom.com. Thanks for joining us.